What a great joy to join all of you to share this boundless joy of practice. Thank you all for taking the time out from your busy lives so that we could practice together. Let us begin by being truly settled. Some of you last night or now this morning on European time anyway, may have had to rush quickly into the zazen, the schedule, maybe from your work or family or other responsibilities. If you're really settled in the practice, this is not a problem. But if you are still getting settled, it can be rather difficult and frustrating because you hurry in, sit down, start to sit zazen, think about how you're supposed to be doing it. And of course, your mind is going a mile a minute, as we say. Maybe you keeps wandering back into something that just happened at work or at home. So I would urge you, strongly recommend that you take a little time, if you can, before you begin the zazen. Physically, to maybe do a little stretching, then mentally just to, perhaps with some deep breaths, just let the events of the day go. And then get truly settled in the practice. When I say that, what do I really mean? Settled in what? First, the body, the breath, and the mind can be settled. Beginning with the body, finding out what you need to do to be settled physically, the best posture for your body. You find this out by doing it, trying different postures and finding out what works for you. The breath is very helpful. To exaggerate now, huh? Just to give all with the breath, embodied breath, not just something in your head. Then, especially now with this kind of weekend retreat, to be able to sustain, to continue this through the moments, through the hours, through the breaks, when we lie down to rest gently, to let it continue, to be truly settled. When you do this, it may take some time, but the way, the path that you must go naturally opens up. For example, we recognize, we come to see the stories that we spin, that we create in our mind, the mental constructs that are there, to clearly see right through them. This is what happens quite easily and naturally when the practice is settled. We also may feel painful emotions, for example, and we can feel them, experiencing them fully as what they are, no more, no less. And I trust you see that once you do this, you can really see from your experience that these mental constructs, these stories that we create, these painful emotions, memories, and so on that we go into again and again, they must be let go, released. How? Practicing properly, patiently, truly settled. It becomes clear these mental constructs, these painful memories and so on, they can't continue on their own. They lose their steam, as we say. They lose their power, their energy, and they just eventually dissolve. If they continue, you need to see how you are feeding them. Again, they don't continue on their own. Maybe it's not fully conscious, but you are indulging in them, feeding them. Once this is clear, you can't help but let them go. So please don't sit there waiting for something to happen. Open up to what is actually underfoot, under your feet, right here. All you need is here. Here, real practice begins and can continue to the very end. To put it bluntly, we need to do the work. What work is that? It sounds strange, but the work of stopping, the work of letting it all come to rest. This is not something that the ego self is used to doing. It's used to going out and acquiring something or moving away from something it doesn't like. But in a word, the point of genuine Zazen, Zen practice in general, but especially Zazen, is simply to stop, to let it all come to rest. Then this living, loving truth, call it reality if you like, is manifest, unmistakable. No one can give this to you. You don't need to be given it. And no one can take it away either. In a word, this is the simplicity, very simple, the elegant simplicity of true practice. It's not always easy, but it is ultimately very simple. It's not even one, let alone two. I trust you are coming to see through your own practice. The difficulty comes from our restless, wavering mind. It's not the practice. Practice is seeing that fact, then refusing to play that game, to delude ourselves anymore. That's why a weekend retreat like this, even though it is online, can be so precious. To dive into, to jump into this kind of practice together with others. When you do this, don't drop one set of stories, one set of beliefs, just to pick up another, even if it's a Zenistic one. Don't blindly believe what you read in a book. Don't blindly believe in what I say either. Test it. Confirm it in your bones. Dare to open up to what is actually here, underfoot, under our feet, in the depths of our heart. That, not some Zenistic story or teaching, that shows you the way you must go. The breath itself will do, giving all of yourself to it. Again, to exaggerate. The sitting itself will do. Giving all of yourself to it. A koan will do. What is this? Who is this? If you give all of yourself to it. You see, I trust, the importance of constant practice, continuous practice. Again, why we have a retreat like this, so that we can spend several days working on it, morning, noon, and night. Yes, we have breaks. The schedule is very well prepared, well done. So there are sittings, then there's a break. You can go to the toilet, get some tea, do a little stretching, and then come back refreshed. But the point is, through all of that, the fundamental practice continues. You may take a break from the seated posture, but if you're serious, you can't really take a break from the fundamental practice, can you? In a good way, you carry it with you. You get up with it. You walk with it. You go to the toilet with it. You take a cup of tea with it. You lay down and rest with it. You wake up with it. Then it really starts to work and transform, as it will, naturally. Not banging up against it, but coming from the practice itself. Again, the fundamental, to open up to what is actually here. There is nothing else. Don't budge. To budge means to move a little bit. I don't mean physically you have to stay here without moving. I mean, come to a full and complete stop. To put it another way, cement yourself to it. Cement yourself to it. In the beginning, I remember well, it can be difficult to get into the practice. The mind keeps wandering off. Yes, there is a need to train it, to discipline it. Again, not because this is some really difficult elite practice, we are trying to do. On the contrary, simply because our mind is so untrained, undisciplined. And so, yes, especially in the beginning, we need to bring this mind here with this body and this breath back. Where? Right here, right here. If it wanders, no problem. Simply bring it back. You can only return here anyway, no matter how far you go in some mental story that you create. You only end up back here anyway. So maybe save time and energy by not making that trip one more time. You already know it goes nowhere fast. Bringing this mind with this body and this breath to be truly, fully settled, then you cannot help but see. You cannot help but let go of the things that need to be let go. In a sense, everything. But it can happen quite naturally if we are practicing properly. It's inevitable. It cannot be helped if we open up to it, if we see for ourselves, again, not because I say so or you read it in the book, but because it becomes transparent, clear to you. This is what I must do. This is how I must live. I cannot live in my delusions and fantasies. This precious life must be lived fully, truly, and sincerely, with humility, with love, with compassion. Isn't that what comes out of the depths of your own heart? If it does, then I invite you to continue this practice, to give yourself to this practice. Let us continue together to the end.